Hello friends, today we're going to look at creating a virtual machine in the Microsoft Azure portal. So let's go ahead. You can either type Azure portal in Google, or you can directly go to portal.azure.com, and once you log in, it'll take us to the home page. So once you're in the home page, you can see there are several tabs that you can check. Let's go to virtual machines, and before jumping into virtual machines, I just want to talk about resource groups. In Azure, whatever you create, whatever resources you create, needs to be inside a resource group. A resource group basically is like a container in which you put all your resources like virtual machines, databases. So it will save our time. We don't need to go individually to a resource and delete it. We can delete it altogether from the resource group, or you can even delete the resource group itself. So let's go ahead and create the virtual machine. So we go to virtual machines, and you can see here add virtual machine or create virtual machine, both go to the same page. Okay, we're in the page for creating a virtual machine. So first of all, let's look into subscription. In order to create resource, all the resources need to be in a subscription, and they are built together. So after subscription, you can see the resource group. And now we need to give the Azure virtual machine a name, and we'll just put in VM01. You can put it in a particular region. It shows the one nearest to me. Since I'm in Dubai, it shows Middle East, UAE North, but let's just put in US West, or let's say US East. Here you can choose the redundancy option. There are basically two of them: availability zone and availability set. Availability set is where the resources are inside the same data center, but it allows you to have two VMs in separate racks. So it's in the same data center, but separate racks and separate power and network connectivity. That's availability set. And in availability zone, they are in the same region, but they are in different data centers itself. Next, we need to choose the image, that is the operating system for the VM. We'll just go ahead with Windows Server 2016. Next, we move on to the size. You can see here all the different types of size options we have and the pricing for each. B type basically means it's a burstable CPU, and it's a general purpose CPU. It can burst up to 100% CPU usage for a particular amount of time, not all the time. And you can see here D type, that is also a general purpose type, which has a higher amount of virtual CPUs and RAM. For a production environment, you would ideally go for a D type than a B1, B2 type. So here let's just take B1S, B1 standard. Okay. And next we need to select a username. It shouldn't be a, I'll show you. If I put in a username like admin, it won't take it, because Azure has reserved some usernames like admin, administrator, and all. So for our purpose, we'll put vmadmin. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And the password is the password that you'll be using to log into the server. Okay, so the passwords match. Okay, we've given the passwords. Now we'll go to the inbound port rules. And this section is pretty important, because if we want to say the machine is if we want to log into the machine over the internet, we need to allow a port like a RDP port to be open. You can further lock them down using the Azure Security Center and just-in-time access as well. But for right now, we'll just go ahead and select RDP. If we scroll down, you can see Save Money part. Here you can save money if you already have a Windows Server license with active software assurance. And if you have it, you can confirm it and enter the license below. But in our case, it's not required. So we'll just click no and go to the storage. So next we are into disk storage management. And as you can see, since the machine is an S-type, it supports both the standard HDD and also the standard and premium SSD. In our case, we'll just go for the standard HDD. And you can attach a new disk to the VM, or if you had a VM earlier in your environment and you deleted it, you can even attach the disk that was with the earlier VM to this one. And if you go to advanced, you can see manage disk, which is by default given as yes, which is the ideal option to choose. So we don't want to change anything here, and we'll just go to networking. Next we are in the networking tab, and you can create a virtual network. If you already have one, you can choose that, or you can create a new one. If you are in an enterprise network, you'll probably have a scheme of networks and subnets that you want to choose from. So you can choose from those. But in our case, let it create a new VNet and a subnet. Next, we look into next is the public IP. If you want to communicate with the virtual machine from outside a network, you need to have public IP. Like by default, it's selected. A new public IP is created for it. But I could choose not have a public IP if I don't want it. I mean, if you don't want it to be connected directly, if you're connecting through a VPN, or if you're using express route from the data center, then you wouldn't need to select that. Then next you need to select the security group. By default it's set to basic. You can either choose no security group, or you can go to advanced and then create the security group. But in our case, I'm just going to give basic and so use just the ports that we selected earlier, which in our case is RDP. Next is the accelerated networking. It's only available in certain type of instances and certain operating systems. So in our instance, it's not supported. If you were going for, let's say, like Red Hat Linux 7.4 or higher, and if it's a D instance, you would have the option of selecting accelerated networking. But in our case, we don't need that, and we don't have that. Next is load balancing. If we want, we can place this virtual machine in the in an existing or a new load balancer. Azure supports two types of load balance settings. So next we move on to management, and here you can see a couple of things. First of all, we can set on or off for boot diagnostics. You can ideally keep them on if you want to diagnose any problems in the virtual machine. Then you have guest diagnostics. You can keep them on or off based on if you want to turn on the guest level metrics. And this is the storage account that is created to store the logs for the diagnostics. If you have already one, you can select that, but in our case, let's create a new one. Next, we have managed identity for Azure resources. This feature provides Azure services with automatically managed identity in Azure AD, but in our case, we don't require that. And next is Auto-Shutdown. I would recommend to keep it on, especially in the lab environment, so that we're not billed accidentally. So you can set your system to shut down at any particular time. In my case, I'll put it 7 p.m. and since I'm based in Dubai, I'll put GMT+4. And here, if you can opt for notification before shutdown, you can give the notification email ID, but in our case, not required. Then a very important option I like in here is the backup option. You can choose which backup service you want to, and the resource group to it. But in our case, we won't need the backup, so we're just keeping it off. And we'll go to the Advanced tab. In here, it's most focused with the automation on orchestration tools like Chef, Puppet, and antivirus, etc. Let's just keep it as it is. Next, we move on to tags. Tags are basically a way for us to organize our data. It's especially important if you're in a production enterprise environment and there are thousands of virtual machines. So let's give a value for this. Okay, cost center, and we can put in here lab. Next, let's review everything. So in this tab, it's a great place for us to review all the things that we've done so far, and also to check the price. And if you want to check the pricing for other options, other models, we can do that as well here. And another important thing here is that you can download a template that you can use later for automation. You can download you can add it to the library, or you can download, or you can copy the script for it. So if you're happy with that, you can once again check everything as what you need, and if you're fine with it, you can go ahead and create the VM. It should take around 5 to 10 minutes for that, and since it's a B-type machine, it should take a bit longer than the D-types. You can see the progress here in the notification tab. Okay, the resource has been created now. Let us pin it to the dashboard. Go to the resource. You can either click by going to the resource button, or you can click virtual machines and then click the virtual machine name. Let's expand it. Okay, here you can see in order to connect to the VM there are multiple ways. The easiest one would be directly from the portal via RDP. So click connect and download the RDP file. So once it's downloaded, okay, I think this one is not going to connect. I'll tell you why once we get the error message. Let's wait for it. Yeah. The thing is, I believe while creating the virtual machine, when I was explaining the things to you, I had accidentally kept the public IP address as disabled. So this machine currently won't be connecting to the internet. So we need to change that now. So for that, let's go to the VM and networking, and let's click the interface. From here you can see the IP configurations. Okay, I've selected the IP config. Here you can see the public IP address is currently disabled. So in order to connect to the machine from internet, from outside the network, you need to enable it. Now we need to set a few settings. You can either select anything you have already or create new. Let's create new. Config1, and this we can this is related to load balancing. We can give it basic here. If you want a static IP address, you can give static. For our use, dynamic is fine. There's already a resource, so we'll change the name to config2. Okay, so it's enabled. Let's save it. So now it's saving the public IP address. Okay, it's done, and now it's saving the network interface. Okay, so I've added the public IP now. Let's try once again. Select the VM. And now the public IP should be listed. Yeah, now you can see the public IP address here. So if we download the RDP file, it should be with the public IP instead of the private. Yes, okay. Download RDP. We can replace the RDP file. Now let's try and connect. It should connect without an issue. Here we have to give the username and password that we gave while creating the virtual machine. So now you can see it's connecting successfully. Okay, it's connected. So now we have created a virtual machine in Azure and connect to it via RDP. You can also use the PowerShell script to connect to the VM. So now once the main thing that you need to do is once you're done with the lab, you have to clean up everything, otherwise you will be getting unwanted billing. So either go to the resource group that you created. In our case, it's demo AZ, and you can delete all the resources that are in there at one shot, or if you want to, you can delete just the virtual machine. For that, go to the virtual machine. Now you can see it's now the status is running. Okay, now we're going to stop the virtual machine. It's saying that the public IP will be delocated. That's fine. You can see here in the CPU chart, now that the system is off, the CPU is calmed down, not display. Okay, now you can see here stopped, deallocated. This needs to be there if you don't want this machine to be billed. But however, suppose you still be billed for the storage. So it's always better if you go to the resource group that you created for the lab and then delete off all the resources in one go that you don't want. You can create this way. So if you click delete, all the resources will be deleted. Now I don't want to delete this now as I have a few more projects to do with this virtual machine. So if you want, you can do it this way. That's all. So now we saw how to create a virtual machine in Azure, how to log into it, and we understood from my mistake the importance of setting up public IP address for it, and also we saw how to delete the resources once we're done with it. So I hope this video has been useful for you, and if you have any questions, please note it down in the comments below. Thank you.